Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we dive right on into the philosophy of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. So, in today's video, we're going to be going over the philosophy of the character known as Jimmy McNulty. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, let us not waste any time. Let's go on ahead and let us get started. So, Jimmy McNulty, the soul of HBO's critically acclaimed series, The Wire, is a character who really defies easy definition, and really played with the brilliance, by Dominic West. McNulty is pretty much what I would say is our entry point into the world of Baltimore's drug trade. A world as entrenched and and pretty much as systemic as the police department that he fights, often in vain, to serve. So McNulty is first and foremost a detective, really a keen mind with an almost obsessive dedication to the pursuit of truth. So really he possesses a moral compass that really spins wildly in the face of the Baltimore Police Department's bureaucratic quagmire. So really he's frustrated, by a system that prioritizes statistics over justice, happy to bend or sometimes even shatter, the rules to get to the bottom of a case. Now, this really puts him at odds, like say a constant, pretty much a constant odds with his superiors, particularly the career-oriented major, obviously known as Bill Rawls, and even like other people say in this case, like, like Jay Landsman, pretty much. So really big note brilliance. Now his brilliance is undeniable because he has an IQ, pretty much reported IQ, pretty much to be, 136. So really the thing about McNulty is that he sees patterns and connections that others miss, forming the backbone of several major investigations, throughout the series. But McNulty, now he's far from a perfect hero because he's a recovering alcoholic, prone to self destructive binges when faced with the overwhelming corruption and futility that surrounds him. Now, his personal life is also a mess, a casualty of his dedication to the job. His relationships with his ex wife and children are strained, and his romantic, entanglements are fleeting and often unhealthy. And really, he's arrogant, sometimes is reckless, and he can be a terrible colleague, pretty much alienating, those around him with his cynicism and constant rule breaking. And really, but really, despite all those things, there is a deep well of humanity, beneath McNulty's gruff exterior because he does care, deeply about the victims that are caught, like say in the drug wars crossfire. Particularly the young boys that he sees, that are drawn into the game. And really he forms strong bonds, like say with his partners, particularly the wise but wary Buck Moreland. And then again, I mean, then again, also like with other like say detectives like like Lester Freeman and Kima Griggs and also other detectives like like Daniels and also like Sidnor and all that as well too. So really, so yeah, and really, even if those bonds pretty much are often tested, by his pretty much by McNulty's impulsiveness. But the thing is though is that he possesses a sardonic wit and a genuine love for Baltimore. A city that he both loathes and feels a strange sense, of duty towards. So really throughout the wire is like 5 seasons. Really so really what we do is, we really witness, McNulty, grapple with his own demons as he navigates the corrupt landscape of the Baltimore PD. Because he's a man that is constantly at war, with himself, with the system, and with the seemingly endless tide of drugs and violence that plagues the city. Now, really, his journey is one of disillusionment, resilience, and ultimately an uncertain hope. Now, on the other hand, is he a good cop? Now, that's simply a question overall that the Wire itself, never definitively answers. And I mean definitively. But Jimmy McNulty, he's undeniably, a compelling character, a very complex and flawed individual who really serves as a powerful lens, through which we can examine the failures and the faint flickers of humanity within, the institutions, meant to uphold the law. So, really, with the brief introduction all taken care of and out the way, let's go on ahead and really dive into the philosophy of Jimmy McNulty. And that, of course, is what I like to call the McNulty Doctrine. Really, a philosophy of futility and fury. So Jimmy McNulty, this rumpled detective at the heart of the wire. Now he doesn't preach, these grand theories. Now, really, his philosophy is really etched in the grime of Baltimore streets. A blend of cynicism and stubborn idealism. So really, here are its core tenets. Starting with the first one being pretty much the first one, basically being the fact, that the game is rigged, but you play anyway. So McNulty, he sees the futility of the drug war. The players change, the corners stay bloody, yet he can't abandon the fight. Because really there's like this perverse satisfaction in the pursuit. Like a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, this time, they can make a dent. So really, here are some key aspects when it comes to this part of McNulty's philosophy. So some of the aspects to focus on are, on one hand, disillusionment with the system, moral code, tenacity and dedication, and the Pyrrhic victories. So when it comes down to the disillusionment with the system, Minotti has seen the dark side of the Baltimore Police Department and the city that it serves, because he understands that power and money often dictate outcomes, not righteousness. And then when it comes to his moral code, now even though despite his cynicism and despite him basically being very impulsive a lot of times and definitely being a lot arrogant, egotistical, yeah, McNulty overall is definitely is definitely overall what you definitely can consider to be, especially if you watch The Wire, if you've seen the series, definitely is, an a-hole. But the thing about McNulty is that despite all of these things, he still has a strong moral compass because he can't ignore the injustice and he feels compelled to pursue the truth even when it's a thankless task. So really McNulty, and oh yeah, and also when it comes to to like tenacity and dedication, see McNulty is relentless in his pursuit of justice because he may bend the rules. Yes, he may bend the rules at times, but he never gives up on a case that he believes in. And even when it comes to the Pyrrhic victories, now the Pyrrhic victories, or the Pyrrhic victories, if I'm pronouncing that correct, Menoti's victories, they often come at a cost because he may solve a case, but the system itself remains unchanged. And this really fuels his frustration, but he doesn't really, but really it doesn't extinguish, his determination. And really when it comes down to like, like how he may solve a case, but the system itself remains unchanged. And really it's like what Lester Freeman says, like the job won't save you. I mean, it won't make you whole. It won't like, fill up some big fantasy of his or whatever the case may be. And basically just tells Jimmy straight up, like, like pretty much to have a life, a life. I mean, like, you know what that is? It's the stuff that happens, while you wait for moments that never come. So yeah, really this part of Jimmy McNulty's philosophy, really it resonates because really it reflects the struggle between idealism and pragmatism because it acknowledges the harsh realities of the world, but it also underscores the importance of fighting for what is right, even against seemingly insurmountable odds. And also another like say tenet we want to focus on is the system. So the system is broken, but you work within it, sort of. Now, I'll explain pretty much what this part of right here means exactly. So really, bureaucracy. Now, bureaucracy it suffocates good police work. Stats and quotas become the currency, not justice. And McNulty, bends the rules. He fabricates cases, all to expose the bigger picture. So really, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, forever, teetering between effectiveness and expulsion. And expulsion. So really, McNulty, like he sees the police department, as a bureaucracy, more interested in statistics than justice. Detectives are pressured to close cases quickly, do things like rip and runs and all that kind of stuff, often resulting in, some shoddy investigations and missed opportunities. And promotions and resources are doled out, based on playing the game and not really pursuing real police work. And really, this cynicism, really, this is what fuels, McNulty's frustration. And then, despite the dysfunction, McNulty still clings to a personal code because he believes in catching criminals, especially the powerful players like Stringer Bell and other players like Avon Barksdale, and even like other players like in this case, like say, even Marlo Stanfield as well too later on in the series. So really he's a tenacious investigator, driven by a desire to see justice served. And the thing about McNulty is he recognizes the need to manipulate the system to achieve its goals because he cuts corners, he defies authority, and even fabricates evidence in the pursuit of a truth, of the truth. Because really what this does is that this creates tension with his superiors, but it also allows him to make progress. So really, when it comes down to it, McNulty's approach, like this internal conflict within himself, really it's a very constant struggle because he's both disillusioned and dedicated. And his methods are often, yes, they're often self destructive, leading to alcoholism and disciplinary action. But really, he walks a tightrope between being a good cop and getting swallowed by the system's flaws. And really, I think the biggest takeaway, the biggest like key takeaway that we could pretty much take in this is that McNulty represents the idealist trapped in a broken reality because he acknowledges the system's failings but refuses to be entirely cynical. Because now the thing is that McNulty, like he can be, now he can be like, like say, what I mean, like he is like, now McNulty, like he is, cynical, but the thing is though is that he's not entirely cynical. I mean, you can be like, a cynic, I mean, really, you can be a cynic, but at the same time, I mean, you can't be like, a cynic, like, entirely, completely. I guess like, being completely like say, like pessimistic about every single thing, because that's the thing. Because the thing about Minotti is that I mean, he acknowledges he acknowledges the system's failings, but but I mean, he's not entirely a cynic though. Like he's not entirely cynical because the thing is, he tries to work within it. He tries to work within the system. Work within it even if it means bending the rules. And this creates a fascinating and tragic character, really, a tragic character, one who embodies the show's central theme of the fight for justice in a world stacked against it. And also, another part we want to focus on in McNulty's philosophy is justice is a luxury, not a right. So in McNulty's world, fairness is a fleeting dream because the powerful manipulate the system, leaving scraps for the rest. Because he really fights for a sliver of justice, and for people like say, D'Angelo Barksdale, Avon Barksdale, caught in the game, or for Stringer Bell, for Stringer Bell brought down by his own hubris. Really it's really it's a pursuit tinged with bitterness, a recognition that even victory, feels hollow. So yeah, so McNulty's cynicism really it stems from the years spent, battling an entrenched system that seems indifferent, to the suffering that it put, pretty much that it perpetuates. Because the Baltimore Police Department, burdened by bureaucracy and political agendas, all this stuff with the quotas, the stats, all that other crap, pretty much, it grinds down, idealism, you know, and really, when it comes to witnessing case after soul sucking case pile up, McNulty he sees an endless cycle where true justice eludes him. The kingpins making millions off of drug trafficking, seem untouchable, while the addicts they exploit and the victims caught in the crossfire remain invisible. So really, this systemic, really this, so yeah, so really this systemic, apathy, it breeds a deep disillusionment within McNulty. You know, and the thing is, despite his apathy, he isn't devoid. He's not completely devoid of a moral compass because he does possess a strong sense of what is right and a burning desire to hold the powerful accountable. And what this manifests, and really this manifests in his relentless pursuit of cases, even when they take, pretty much even when they go against the grain. Because he takes on the Barksdale's organization not just because it's his job, but because he believes, he genuinely believes in dismantling the system that profits from human misery. And really, I think also when it comes down to like, McNulty, when it comes to fighting a system that he despises, really what this creates is this creates a fascinating duality within him, within his character, because he loathes the department that he works for, yet he pours his heart and soul into his cases, becoming obsessed with achieving a semblance of justice within the flawed system. And really, this obsession, it often leads him, to clash with authority. further blurring the lines between, dedication and defiance. And really, his pursuit of justice, it really comes at a heavy price because, when it comes like, to the cost of him chasing a dream, his relentless drive, it isolates him from his colleagues and superiors because his personal life suffers. He struggles with alcoholism as a coping mechanism, and the system that he fights seems to wear him down. Raising the question, can one really fight for justice without becoming a victim of the system itself? And also another part I want to focus on is that the war is internal. So really, McNulty's greatest enemy, his greatest enemy is himself because he drowns his frustrations in alcohol. He pushes away the loved ones, and really the fight against the Baltimore drug trade becomes a metaphor for his eternal struggle. Because can he really find solace in a world that seems determined to crush him? And the thing is, that Jimmy McNulty, because really by season five, of The Wire, McNulty is a man adrift in a sea of moral ambiguity because really his idealistic fight for justice has curdled into cynicism, fueled by the institutional rot that he witnesses daily. And the war, once external against, drug kingpins and corner boys, has become a constant internal struggle for him. So really his defiance, has consequences, like, shunned by really shunned by his superiors. His meticulously built case against like Marlo Stanfield crumbles for a lack of political will. And also, this defeat, it really shatters like say his already fragile faith in the system because he drinks heavily, numbing the pain of failure with cheap liquor, and the clear lines between, cop and criminal it blur as he resorts to questionable tactics, mirroring the very corruption that he once despised. And really McNulty's personal life, it really mirrors his professional despair because his relationships are in tatters because because really he alienates his partner, really he alienates his partner Lester Freeman with his erratic behavior, and his past infidelity continues to haunt his present. And really McNulty, once a man who championed the truth, now finds himself obscuring it, fabricating evidence to keep the case against Stanfield alive. And this descent into moral murk is a painful reminder of the war that he's waging within himself and the fight to hold on to his ideals amidst the crushing weight of reality. And also another part really, and another part we want to focus on, when it comes to McNulty's philosophy is really define redemption, in the work. So yeah, so really love and family are casualties in McNulty's war because his solace in the pursuit itself, in the meticulous casework, the thrill of the chase. So yeah, really it is like say a flawed redemption, a Sisyphus, pretty much a pretty much a like a like a Sisyphus, pushing his boulder up the mountain. But for McNulty, it's the only meaning he can find in the face of an absurd reality. So the thing about the life of Baltimore cop, the life of being a cop wasn't really kind, to idealists because the city, which is a microcosm of urban decay, was a constant reminder of the futility of good intentions. Because bureaucracy squashed initiatives, evidence, disappeared faster than cheap whiskey, and cases meticulously built crumbled under the weight of political expediency. So Jimmy over the so Jimmy ever the romantic refused to be hardened, by this reality because he clung to the belief that good police work it mattered, that somewhere within the labyrinth, pretty much within the labyrinthine, mess of the city, there was a chance to make a difference. And this belief, it really fueled his obsession with cases, most notably, the Barksdale organization, while say his colleagues chase stats and close cases and really close cases, and close cases quickly. And Jimmy, like he burrowed deep, unearthing, connections, sniffing out leads, no matter how insignificant that they seemed. And his dedication was filled by a frustration that bordered on rage, a rage not just at the criminals, but at the system that seemed designed to protect them. But Jimmy's redemption, it wasn't really found solely in dogged investigation, but it was found in the act of doing the work itself. Because the meticulous attention to detail, the thrill of the chase, and the camaraderie, however dysfunctional with his partner Bunk, really in these moments, the cynicism, it really kind of melted away, replaced by a sense of purpose, a feeling of being part of something bigger than himself. And really, this redemption, through work, wasn't always easy or glorious because it was often thankless, frustrating and punctuated by setbacks. Yet for Jimmy, it was the only path to absolution. Because the world, it might seem, the world, the thing about the world is this: the world might be a broken place. Yes, the world might be a broken place. The system is rigged, but there was a perverse satisfaction in simply doing the right way. Pretty much doing the job the right way and actually giving a damn in a city that had seemingly stopped caring. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much overall comes to the conclusion pretty much of this video here today. But really, overall, the McNulty Doctrine, really is a philosophy, I would say is one of delusionment, a testament to the human spirit's ability to persist even in the face of an unwinnable fight. Because really, it's a philosophy that is born in the grime and really is a testament to the flickering flame of idealism that refuses to be extinguished. So Jimmy McNulty, this tormented protagonist of the Wire, HBO's The Wire, really is a character who defies easy categorization because he's a brilliant detective, played by a moral compass that spins with the force of his own frustrations. Because the thing is, he cares deeply about the victims that are caught in the Baltimore drug trade, in the game itself, yet struggles to maintain his own relationships and his sobriety. So really his journey throughout the series is one of disillusionment and resilience because he's a man who recognizes the rot at the heart of the Baltimore Police Department, a system that is designed to churn out statistics rather than solve crimes, and really his pursuit of the truth. It often, often through, unorthodox means, clashes with the careerist bureaucracy that prioritizes appearances over results. And really, McNulty, like his brilliance is undeniable. The thing about McNulty is this: I mean, McNulty is not some idiot. Like he's not an idiot cop. Like I mean, like yeah, I mean, is he arrogant? Is he impulsive at times? Can he be egotistical? Yes. I mean, that is all true. But the thing about his brilliance is that it is undeniable because he is not an idiot because he possesses an innate ability to see the bigger picture, to connect seemingly, disparate dots and build a case. So whether it's the Barksdale's, drug empire in the first season or the Stanfield organization later on in the series, his tenacious spirits, it fuels his investigations, as we see later on, like say in the series of The Wire. However, though, this very brilliance, though, it can be a double-edged sword because it's like, and like I said, because his arrogance and disregard for authority, it often does lead him into conflict, like say with superiors like Bunk Moreland and Cedric, and Cedric Daniels, and his personal life is also a reflection of the inner turmoil that he experiences on the job because his relationships are strained, his parenting is inconsistent, and his reliance on alcohol offers a temporary escape from the harsh realities around him. Yet there's a flicker of humanity that persists because his bond with Bunk, his efforts to connect with his sons, and his ill-fated romance with Beatty Russell all demonstrate a yearning for connection despite his self-destructive tendencies. So perhaps the most debated aspect of McNulty is his controversial season 5 storyline. Faced with the department's, apathy, towards real police work, really what he does is he fabricates a serial killer case to secure funding for the Stanfield investigation. Now, this act is definitely a moral low point for him in the series, pretty much blurring the lines between truth and deception. While it does allow him, to pursue justice, it also raises questions about, the ends justifying the means. But really, in the end, though, McNulty remains an enigma, because is he a hero sacrificing his own integrity for a cause he believes in, or is he a self serving maverick driven by his own ego as much as a desire for justice? And really, the beauty of the character, it really lies in this ambiguity because He's a complex individual, a product of the very system that he fights against. So really, McNulty's final scene, really in The Wire in season 5, and season 5, episode 10, really is a very poignant one because he walks away from the police department and takes one final look at the city of Baltimore, disillusioned but not defeated. And really, Jimmy McNulty, his legacy is one of a flawed yet unforgettable character, a man forever grappling with the weight of his ideals in a world that seems determined to crush them. But overall, that is the end of this video today, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, if you have stayed this far and this long watching my video, I appreciate it. I thank you once again, of course, here today. And also, so don't forget to like, to comment, and also subscribe for more explorations into the minds of your favorite characters on the channel, because it is 100% free, no charge, no cost at all whatsoever. It is entirely free. So all together, also hit and also hit the notification bell to also stay updated on my latest videos as well too, for more videos that I will make on this channel in the long run. And also one thing also, and also one thing that and to also, like, to bring up also, is the fact that, like I said before, a few days ago, that I will start doing some videos, like, say, on professional wrestlers as well too, and really dive into the philosophy of what makes their characters in the wrestling ring and the wrestling world so very interesting and very fascinating. And I also have a link also as well, also have, like, say, like a video also down in the description as well too, of my latest video that I made on Roman Reigns, the wrestler, and I'll put that in the description, pretty much in this video. And so yeah, I'll do that immediately afterwards. But overall, if you have any wrestlers that you want me to really cover and focus on the channel, you want me to really do videos on, let me know and I will happily do so. But other than that, though, that pretty much does it here today. So, overall, thank you once again for being here all today. And I hope you all have a very beautiful, blissful, and wonderful day. And I want you always remember, ladies and gentlemen, always remember to always be smooth, to always be steady, and to always be aggressive. Peace.